Hello students, welcome to Roots of Economics. In this video, we are going to talk about the Solow-Swan model. Students, many of you may not be knowing that this is a separate model or rather an extension of the basic Solow model. Since your textbook do not talk about this model as a separate model, but when you go and appear for any competitive exam, there you will see the language as Solow-Swan model and not Solow model. So therefore, I decided to cover this as a separate model so that you understand the difference between basic Solow model and the Solow-Swan model. So what is so special about the Solow-Swan model? Solow-Swan model considers the effect of what? Depreciation also. Okay, so let us start. Let's start with the introduction, which is written here in the yellow box. Solow-Swan model shows that growth process is stable. No matter where the economy starts, forces exist that will push the economy over time to a steady state. So what is the Solow-Swan model saying? Solow-Swan model is saying that the growth process is stable, like we did in the previous model also, which is a Solow model. So students, first of all, let me tell you, if you haven't seen the video on Solow model, go and watch that video first and then come back to this video, because this is in continuation only, right? So growth process is stable and no matter where the economy starts, means economy can start from any K by L ratio. What will happen? The forces exist that will push the economy over time to a steady state, which will happen definitely when? In the long run. Okay, so what is the difference between basic Solow model and the Solow-Swan model? First difference, just now I told you that Solow-Swan is considering the effect of depreciation. Second difference, which follows from this only, is that output here is regarded as net output after making allowances for depreciation of capital. Since you are taking the depreciation effect also into consideration, so what is going to happen? You are going to deduct depreciation from the output, and when you deduct depreciation from the gross output, you are going to get what? The net output. So capital, we all know, depreciates. So capital depreciates at a constant rate d. So now small d here represents what? Depreciation. So there is no technical progress. This is another assumption of the Solow-Swan model. So now after this, let us talk about the saving and the investment. Saving, if you can recall from the basic Solow model, is a constant fraction of what? Income. So if, let me tell you here, small s was equal to s by y. So in order to calculate the s, you will take y to this side. So it will become what? Small s into y. Okay, so this is what I have written here, small s into y. And what was y? Y is the continuous production function known as the neoclassical production function. You divide the entire equation by L. This is your output per worker, y by L equals to f k by L, comma 1. So even if you do not write this 1, you can simply write small y equals to f small k. That means your output per worker is a function of capital per worker. Worker means the labor. Labor means the population that is taken care in the basic model of Solow itself. Clear? Here we are focusing basically on the depreciation. So you will see the effect in the investment just now. So now instead of y, I am going to write what? Fk. Then if we talk about the investment required to maintain the capital per worker is n plus d k. If you can recall again from the previous video, there we did what? This was your n into k. Clear? This was your investment function curve. But here with n, you are also going to add what? D. So it is now n plus d into k. So this is your n plus d into k becomes your investment function. So this is the basic. Now let's move further. After knowing the saving function and the investment function, your net change in capital per worker. This is what we were focusing on, change in K by L. So that is, this is rather small k. This is small k dot. So you are trying to calculate what? Small k dot over time. And this you are going to calculate how? By taking the excess of saving per worker over the required investment to maintain the capital per worker. Capital per worker means the K by L is the thing that you start with. Okay, as the model says that you start with any K by L ratio. So K dot is equal to saving minus investment. Saving as it is your S into Fk minus. Now in the investment, instead of Nk, you are going to write N plus D K. And this becomes what? The fundamental equation of the Solow-Swan model. Now you will see the figure here. I have drawn here n plus dk curve, and then you have your SFK curve. And also I have drawn what? Y equals to Fk also here. What is your Y equals to Fk? This is your production function, right? This is a production function which is increasing, or rather output per worker increasing at a diminishing rate as k increases due to the law of diminishing return. So this is a production function, but in this diagram we do not require this particular curve as such. You basically need to focus on SFK and n plus dk. Wherever they are intersecting, this is going to give you what? The value k dot, and it says when k dot is 0, that means your SFK is equal to n plus dk. There economy reaches what? The steady state. Okay, so the economy reaches steady state where your saving is equal to investment, which is given by this equation, and automatically your k dot will become what? 0. So this is the basic Solo-Swan model. But now we also know that we can end up at K1 or at K2. Then what happens? Since the model is saying that you can start with any K by L ratio, automatically in the long run, what will happen? You will come back to this particular level, which is your K dot, where your saving is equal to your investment. So this is the Solo-Swan model. Now from here onwards, I am talking about the implication of the Solo-Swan model. Here, the growth rate is not affected by the saving rate. Now, since we are considering the effect of depreciation, and your y function is changing, because now we have to deduct what? Depreciation out of it. So now the question arises that is growth rate affected by the saving ratio? So the answer is no. Why? See here. First of all, we will focus on this k dot where your SFK is intersecting with n plus dk. Now when you increase your saving rate, your SFK curve will shift upwards to this one, S1FK, and now it is intersecting your n plus dk, which is your investment, at K1 dot. Clear? So what is happening? Your output per labor is rising. Output per labor, which is y dot, is now becoming what? Y1 dot. But is your growth rate also rising? No. If saving rate increases, it increases the output per worker. But the growth rate of output is not affected at all. So in short, you can see here, saving rises. But is your population rising? No. We are taking the population as constant. So thereby we are writing n bar. That means population is constant. And then k by L is rising. As you can see here, k by L is rising because of the rise in the saving. But with that, only your y by L will rise, but your growth rate will not rise. Okay. So if the saving rate is high, the economy will have large capital stock and output. Okay, but saving has only a temporary effect on the growth in the output per person. The economy will grow only till the economy reaches a new equilibrium capital per person level. So K by L ratio will rise, Y by L ratio will rise, but if we say the growth rate is rising, no, growth rate is not rising. A permanent change in saving rate has only a temporary effect on economy's growth rate. Even if your saving is rising at a permanent rate, then also your economy's growth rate will rise only temporarily, and this is known as Solovian paradox of thrift. This is also asked sometimes in the exam. So the basic lesson here is that permanent increase in growth rate of per capita income in Solo model comes about only through a change in improvement in technology. So only if your technology is changing, then only you can think that your growth rate will rise what? Permanently. But if your saving rate is rising, that is only going to give what? Temporary increase in your growth rate. Ultimately your growth rate will be what? It will be unchanged. It will not be changed due to the saving rate. Then what is the second implication? If the saving rate is increasing, it increases the output per worker. Okay, so if you have to formally write the conclusion, that is the second point I am giving you. If the saving rate increases, it increases the output per worker by increasing the capital per worker. But growth rate of output is not affected. And the last implication, which is very important, it says this model predicts conditional conversions, which means that all countries are having same or similar characteristics like the saving rate, population growth rate, technology. This is the assumption we are taking, that all those countries having similar characteristics like saving rate, population growth rate, technology, etc., that affect growth will converge to the same steady state level. This is what the Solow model is concluding. So by this we can conclude that poor countries having the same saving rate and the same level of technology of the rich countries will reach the same steady state growth rate in the long run. Okay, so this is the very important conclusion asked in many competitive exam. So this is the basic implication of the Solow model. So here we have completed the Solow model in detail, including the subset of Solow model, which is a Solow-Swan model. So in the next video we are going to talk about the difference between the Harrod-Domar model and the Solow model. Thank you, students.